Welcome back to another SLG Meetup. Today we're here in Vegas with the one and only Chris Voss, former FBA negotiation agent and also known for the famous book, Never Split the Difference, which if you haven't seen it or read it, listened to it, must. It's a recommendation for sure. And he's the founder and owner of the Black Swan Group, where they teach you how to improve your negotiation skills. So thank you for being here, my friend.
It is my pleasure. Thank you.
For those that don't know much about you, you were an FBA negotiator.
Right.
Yeah. And the things that you've had to do, from hostage negotiations, talking about life and death. I mean, doesn't get more real than that.
Kidnappings or war kidnappings around the world, contained sieges, if you will, bank robbery with hostages. Yeah, so lives run around.
Wow. Now, you developed an amount of skill set when it comes to the negotiation, right? That you have to develop in such circumstances. And now through your company, you're applying it to other real case scenarios that apply to any industry. So tell us a little bit about the company and how you apply those negotiation skills into life.
Yeah, basically it's just the emotional intelligence of hostage negotiation. And there's a phrase, how you do something is how you do everything. So people pretty much make up their mind, their decisions under pressure the same way they do in real life. And then of course there's the saying, your biggest problem is your biggest problem. So people are constantly acting like almost any deal is the end of the world. Their life might not be in line, but they feel like their livelihood is. So when I left the FBI, I had a pretty good indicator that the negotiation skills applied across the board. From my time volunteering on a suicide hotline, I've been using that in my daily life. And then I went through Harvard Law School's negotiation course, and instructors there said, look, you're doing the same things we are. The stakes are different, but the dynamics are the same. So I left the FBI, started teaching at Georgetown's McDonough School of Business, teaching how to use hostage negotiation in everyday life in the negotiation course, in the MBA program, part-time students, which meant they had full-time jobs. Mm-hmm. And so what I was teaching them was, take these skills, put them in your full-time job, put them in your personal life, and see how, and I'm telling you they work if you do them the way that I show you how to do them. And that's a lot of the Never Split the Difference. I had my students write up their real-life negotiations. We included it in the book. So then the book came out after I'd been teaching it in business school for a couple of years, and the book's just done real well.
No, of course, has that, and it has impacted millions of lives. Yeah. Myself personally, I've been listening to it over and over. In fact, when I go for a run, I love it because you are sharing certain nuggets, right? That is just so important. I love the concept of the win-win. Everybody thinks that a win-win is the perfect scenario, but you say otherwise.
Well, you got to be careful, and there's a difference between if both sides win, and if somebody calls for a win-win. Mm-hmm. And it's actually, if your goal is the other side wins also, you got to be careful of the emotional vulnerability, because the takers can really take advantage of you if you're unguarded in your spirit. And because of that, the takers know they can take advantage of you. Then they'll say win-win right off the bat, because they're checking you for vulnerability. They're testing you. If you're like, oh yeah, I'd love to do a win-win, they're probably going to hurt you.
100%.
And so it's a behavior to watch out for. It's a verbiage to watch out for in the opening conversation. Whenever anybody says right off the bat to me, look, I got a great opportunity for you. It's a real win-win. Those are two triggers that bring my guard up. I got a great opportunity for you. Usually means the other person wants you to do all the work. Here's a pot of gold over here. You're going to have to build the bridge. You're going to have to build the bridge yourself to get to the pot of gold. And I'm not entirely sure that it's there, but I think it is. And then win-win is they're trying to test to see if I'll drop my guard.
Gotcha. Very important point. That's really important. Now, everybody thinks that the word no is so negative, right? But every no gets you closer to a yes. So tell us the power of the word no.
Well, and you bring up a great point, because people think that yes is success, so they automatically think no is failure. And yes is not necessarily a success. Yes, most of the time is counterfeit. People just want you to go on so you give them more information before they walk away, before they choose to not agree. And so the flip side of that is when people say no, the difference is, do you say it or do you hear it? People hate hearing it, but when you say it, you feel safe. You feel protected. And great negotiation is how you're making the other side feel. Empathy is about how the other side sees it. Mm-hmm. So I want you to feel safe and protected. And I know that getting you to say no is going to make you feel that way.
Right.
So tiny little things. Nobody in my company ever says to anybody, do you have a few minutes to talk? We always say, is now a bad time to talk.
Huh.
You know, even the tiniest littlest things, we want people to feel safe with us so that if your guard doesn't go up, you think more clearly. If I try to get you to say yes, would you like to make more money? Would you like to stay in 5-star hotels, travel the world for free? Like, I'm trapping you. You know, and as soon as I say that, would you like to make more money? You're like, where's this going? Well, that means that if your guard is up, you're filtering, you're not actually listening. But if I say, are you against making more money? You'll be like, no, I'm willing to hear you out. But since you just said no, then your defense mechanisms are not going off in the same way.
You talk a lot about the tone,
Right.
how to mirror also people.
Right.
How can you develop that?
It's practice. You know, there's Denzel Washington was in a movie, Man on Fire, a number of years ago, which I love and I've used for a lot of examples. And he says, there's only trained and untrained. You know, I will never be 7 feet tall. So there's certain physical attributes that I'm never going to have. But emotional intelligence, anybody can develop that chooses to. Mm-hmm. It's harder after age 25 because your neuroplasticity, your ability to learn new things, goes dormant, but it doesn't go away. Dormant means it's just going to sleep. You can intentionally wake it back up. And so you can learn negotiation, you can learn emotional intelligence, you can learn tone of voice just by practicing it.
I always say that curiosity expands your mind.
And you're 1,000% right.
And I like that because it's something that when people approach any type of conversation, right? Because negotiation, it's life. Doesn't matter. You want to choose where you're going for dinner. You want to choose what kind of shoes to wear. You're having always a negotiation.
Right.
But there is something that a lot of people don't talk about, which is the negotiation with yourself. Because sometimes we're having questions and we're having this inner conversation. How do you deal with that?
Yeah, one of the biggest challenges out there, because what you're really trying to do is separate your gut from your amygdala, you know, your fear centers in your brain. Most people have heard of the amygdala. It's this tiny little thing in the brain that we blame, and rightly so, for our defensive reactions, our negative reactions. If we're experiencing something new that we have never encountered before, we're thinking like, I can see how this is going to go bad. Or I can just see them saying no, or I can see them not agreeing, or that's a non-starter. Whatever your fear center in your brain is kicking into your head. It's very debilitating.
Yeah.
It stops you from doing stuff. Mm-hmm. Versus your gut. Your gut's really accurate. So the hard part is which one of those is sensing is feeding your decision making. And many times I'll just say to myself, what's my gut? I mean, I'll openly ask myself, what's my gut telling me? To get away from the fear center in my brain. Your gut is, no matter who you are, your gut is really accurate.
I like that. And sometimes we are afraid of even going that route.
Yep.
Because we want us to always have the path given to us, right? Like what's exactly what we need to do. And that's why we ask a lot of those questions rather than asking ourselves. And sometimes that gut is what's going to indicate the actual decision that needs to be made.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point on path. I heard on one of my other favorite podcasts, Andrew Huberman, a couple of episodes back. He says people think of things in duration, path, and outcome. Where do I want to be? How am I going to get there? How long is it going to take me to get there? Path being a critical aspect of that. And we kid ourselves. The path is never what we imagine, but we think we know the path. So then, all right, I'm good. This is how I'm going to get there, and it'll work out. It never does that way. It's usually more circuitous or more of a roller coaster. But thinking that we know the path ahead is critical for most people's performance.
Interesting. Now, we talk a lot about different elements in the luxury space, including real estate. But the word luxury, right, it has so many definitions, and everybody, when they envision the word luxury, whatever that meaning might be, they're trying to go towards that path, right, to get that luxury. It could be the peace, it could be the lifestyle, it could be the time.
It's a destination, isn't it?
I was going to ask you, so you just gave me your answer. What's luxury for you?
Wow. All right, so for me is just relaxing into what it is that I do for a living. I mean, where I'm living now, I was telling my girlfriend Wendy yesterday, like I got a pool in my backyard. I grew up in a small town in Iowa. Not in 10 million years did I ever think I was going to be someplace where I had a pool in the backyard that I could go dip into it, 11 out of 12 months. It ain't a big pool. This is not a 5,000 square foot house with 5 bedrooms and 5 bathrooms, and this is a modest sized place with this small pool with a couple of palm trees where hummingbirds come in the morning, and I can sit there and sip my coffee and look at the blue sky and watch hummingbirds. People with multiple millions of dollars, that's where they're putting their housekeeper. But to me, it's nirvana.
I love it.
And so to me, that's luxury. Someplace I can have a cup of coffee in the morning and just enjoy being alive.
So deep and so beautiful, right? Because luxury, like what is it, right? And I love that answer. Now, you're working on a lot of different new projects, but there is one in particular that you're super excited about. So tell us about that.
Yeah, the Fireside Network. Fireside is a new Web3 app that you can get on your phone or whichever, whether you got an iPhone, Android, whatever you got. It's Fireside, and it was originally pitched to us as an interactive podcast, which sounds kind of cool, but what it really is negotiation coaching. Now, we do one session a week for about an hour at a time, and what you get if you subscribe is you get coaching in a group of your peers. If you're in the transformation journey of how do I make my life better by being collaborative. One of our coaching clients once told me not long ago that he's making more money being collaborative than he ever made being cutthroat.
Wow.
Like, it's hard to imagine that if you're less cutthroat, you make more money. And so what this has turned out to, more than an interactive podcast, it's group coaching, which we don't provide to individuals at this price. Like if you bought some coaching sessions from my company, a month worth of coaching session for you by yourself is going to be $5,000.
Okay.
For the month. And if your company bought group coaching at this scale, it costs your company $25,000. This is $1,000 for the year, for the entire year, and it's group coaching on it. And you get a topic, actionable topic of the day, then you get asked questions either about that topic or if you got questions on a negotiation you're in the middle of now. The other day I did this. We sign on. People signing on from all over the world, and I'm asking them, where are you, and they're all the same like-minded people. Innovative, ambitious, who want to be around innovative, ambitious people, and this is part of their journey. So this guy comes on, and it's completely black where he's at, and I'm giving him a hard time. I'm like, what are you, hiding in somebody's basement? Are you a fugitive from justice? He goes, no, as a matter of fact, I'm on a mountaintop in Nepal, and I got a negotiation after the sun comes up with my boss, and I need you to give me some coaching on the negotiation.
Wow.
Now, he couldn't have called me and got that.
Right.
And he got it in the moment from the other side of the world. And I'm like,
crazy.
this thing is cool.
That's beautiful.
I love this.
No, that's amazing. And it's very powerful. So definitely one of the things that we're going to do, which is just something that we agreed on, we're going to do a second part of this interview where we're going to focus more in real scenarios of negotiation, where Chris is going to give some examples on how it can be implemented into your daily life. So if you have any questions, write them down, send them to us ahead of time, and we'll be going over that Instagram Live. So aside from that, it's been a pleasure, my friend. For those that are watching or listening, please follow Chris. What he's doing is fantastic. Check out the business, check out the new project, and thank you for being here.
I'm looking forward to the Instagram Live too, man. That'll be great.
It's going to be fun. Thank you, guys.